Chakshunmilitam jena tasmai Shri Gurave namaha. Tasmai Shri Gurave namaha. Pancha kalpatarubhyascha Pancha kalpatarubhyascha Pancha kalpatarubhyascha Kripa sindubhyeva cha Kripa sindubhyeva cha Patitanam pavanebhyo Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Vrindavana Basi Jata Vaishnaviraga Vrindavana Basi Jata Vaishnaviraga Vrindavana Basi Jata Vaishnaviraga Vrindavana Basi Jata Vaishnaviraga Pratame Vandana Kori Sabarachara Pratame Vandana Kori Sabarachara Nilachala Basi Jata Mahaprabhugan Chala Basi Jata Mahaprabhugan Bhumite Padiya Vandon Savarachara Bhumite Padiya Vandon Savarachara Nabodvipa Vasi Jata Mahaprabhu Bhakta Nabodvipa Vasi Jata Mahaprabhu Bhakta Sabbaracharana Vandon Hoye Anurakta Vandon Goda deshe stiti Mahaprabhu Bhakta Jatan Goda deshe stiti Sabaracharana Vandon Koriya Pranati Charana Vandon Sabar Jai Deshe Vaise Gorangera Gan Udva Bahu Kore Vandon Sabaracharan Jai Deshe Vaise Gorangera Gan Udva Bahu Kore Vandon Sabaracharan Hoy Chena Hoy Bena Prabhu Jata Das Sabaracharana Vandon Dante Koregas Chena Hoy Bena Prabhu Jata Das Sabaracharana Vandon Dante Koregas Brahmanda Tarite Sakti Dhare Jane Jane Eveda Purane Guna Gaya Jiva Shune Sakti Dhare Jane Jane Eveda Purane Guna Gaya Jiva Mahaprabhu Gana Sabha Patita Pavan Mahaprabhu Ganasabha Patita Pavan Tailo Bemui Papilo Inushara Papi loinu shara Vandana korite mui Kata shakti dari Vandana korite mui Kata shakti dari Tomo Buddhi Doshe Moi Damba Mata Kori Moi Damba Mata Kori Tatapi Mukhera Bhagya Manera Ulas Tatapi Mukhera Bhagya Manera Ulas Dosha Kami Moa Dame Koroni Jadas Shakami Moa Dame Koroni Jada Dosha Kami Moa Dame Koroni Jada Dosha Kami Moa Dame Koroni Jada Sarvavansha Siddhi Hoya Jamabandha Chute Siddhi Hoya Jamabandha Chute Jagate Dulabha Hoya Prema Dana Lute Jagate Dulabha Hoya Prema prema dhana lute. Manira basana puna achirate hoy. Devaki nandana das elobe koi. Manira basana puna achirate hoy. Devaki nandana das elobe. Manira basana puna chirati hoy. Devaki nandana dase lobe koi. Devaki nandana dase lobe. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Jaya Radha Gopi Vallabha Radha Gopi Vallabha Radhe. Jaya Radha Gopi Vallabha Radha Gopi Vallabha Radhe. Jaya Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jaya Baladev, Jaya Subhadra Ma, Jaya Jai Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladev, Jaya Subhadra Ma, Jaya Jai Nitai, Jaya Gaur, Jaya Nitai, Jaya Gaur. Jai Nitai, Jaya Gaur, Jaya Nitai, Jaya Gaur. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Haribo, 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 Haribo. Haribo, 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 Haribo. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Gora Haribo. Shri Guru Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Jayom Vishnuvad Paramahamsa Parivajikacharya Vaya. The Stotra is such a Shri Srimad is divine grace. O boy Charna Rabinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. Srila Prabhupada ki. Jayom Vishnuvad Paramahamsa Parivajikacharya Vaya. Stotra is such a Shri Srimad is divine grace. Singha Guru Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki. Then Vaisnava Brinda ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki. Prem Siko Ho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Brinda ki. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Radhakund Shamakund Giri Govardhana ki. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki. Shri Mayapur Navadvip Dham ki. Shri Purushottam Ketra Vipralamba Ketra Jagannath Puri Dhama ki. Ganga Mai Jamuna Mai ki. Bhakti Devi Tulsi Maharani ki. Shri Shri Radha Gopi Vallabha Ju ki. Shri Jagannath Shri Baladev Shri Mati Subhadra Mai Sudarshan Ju ki. Shri Shri Gaur Nityananda Prabhu ki. Sankirtan Yogya ki. Prihat Mridanga Book Distribution ki. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bo Samaveda Bhakta Bindi ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksha Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Shnapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sujivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Reading from Grantharaj, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 16, The Divine and Demoniac Natures, text number 4, which is written on the board. Please repeat. Dambo darpo vimanascha Dambo darpo vimanascha Krodha padushameva cha Krodha padushameva cha Agyanam cha bijatasya Agyanam cha bijatasya Partha sampadam asurim Partha sampadam asurim Others? Dambo darpo vimanascha Krodha parushameva cha Agyanam cha bijatasya Partha sampadamasurim Dambo darpo abhimanascha Krodha parushameva cha Agyanam cha bijatasya Partha sampadamasurim Darpa, arrogance, abhimana, conceit, cha, and Krodha, anger. Parushyam, harshness. Eva, certainly. Cha, and. Agyanam, ignorance. Cha, and. Abhijatasya, of one who is born of. Partha, O son of Pritha. Sampadam, the qualities. Asurim, of the demoniac nature. Translation: pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness, and ignorance. These qualities belong to those of demoniac nature, O son of Pritha. Please repeat. Pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness, and ignorance. These qualities belong to those of demoniac nature, O son of Pritha. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. In this verse, a royal road to hell is described. The demoniac want to make a show of religion and advancement in spiritual science, although they do not follow the principles. They are always arrogant or proud in possessing some type of education or so much wealth. They desire to be worshipped by others and demand respectability, although they do not command respect. Over trifles, they become very angry and speak harshly, not gently. They do not know what should be done and what should not be done. They do everything whimsically according to their own desire, and they do not recognize any authority. These demoniac qualities are taken on by them from the beginning of their bodies in the wombs of their mothers, and as they grow, they manifest all these inauspicious qualities. Goragraganya gana gota goloruhadam Goranga gudatama gopyada kopa briksham Gopala gada ratidam yati singha gora Govinda deshikavadam Satatam namami Gurave Gurachandraya Radhikaya Tudalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tudbhaktaya Namo Namaha. So, we want to speak something for the next few days we call the art and heart of Vaishnava Sanga. And so I'd like some help from all of you to please do that. If everybody could come up very close here. Otherwise it makes me really nervous when everybody's sitting so far away, don't know what they're doing. Please come all the way up. As we told them a day or two ago, it's okay, I took a bath last week, so please come up. You can stay there, but everybody else can come close. Prabhuji, you can come all the way up here. Oh, as long as he's not in the way of the camera. It's okay. So, Durvasa Muni, as you may know, had a problem. He chose the wrong person to become angry with, Ambarish Maharaj. And as a result, Krishna sent his Sudarshan Chakra and was chasing Durvasa Muni all over the three worlds. But no matter where Durvasa Muni went, he couldn't get away. Finally, he went to Lord Narayan and he said, look, I made a big mistake. Please forgive me. And Lord Narayan told him, there's nothing I can do. He said, you've offended my devotee. And he said, you should know something about my devotees. Sadhavo hridayam mayam, sadhunam hridayam tvaham, nananyate najanati naham tebyo managapi. He said that I'm in the heart of my devotees. And my devotees are in my heart. And I don't know anything but my devotees, and my devotees don't know anything but me. So this is the heart of Vaishnava Sangha. And the art of Vaishnava Sangha is how to worship Krishna, how to keep Krishna in the center of all of our activities. And really, this activity that we're doing for the next few days, you can call it some Krishna Katha. Someone might say, oh, he's giving a lecture. Someone might say he's giving a sermon. But really, in our tradition, it's none of those things. That's not our purpose for being here. And if we don't understand this first thing, why we're all here and what our purpose is, how will we be able to accomplish the goal that we would like? We don't even know what goal we have. Our purpose is not to give a lecture like in the university. Our purpose is not to give a sermon like in church. But the purpose is to have a Vaishnava Sanga. And in a Vaishnava Sanga, it's not that the speaker is the most important person. If you tell a Vaishnava, oh, you're a great speaker, now you should sit higher than everybody else, and you're more important than everyone else. How will the Vaishnavas feel about that? They'll be very, very unhappy. And if we have a Sangha, an assembly, where everyone is just a group of sycophants who are mad over a particular speaker, then it's more like a rock concert with some kind of idol worship or something. It's not a Vaishnava Sangha. A Vaishnava Sangha is that Sangha where everyone is considered equal. Let me give you a nice example. In Jagannath Puri, one of the names, it has many different names to Puri, one of the names there is Anaketra, or the place of foodstuffs, literally the place of Mahaprasad. And there's no place in all of India, all the world, that has more of a developed culture and worship of Mahaprasad than you'll find in Jagannath Puri. And in Jagannath Puri, when everyone takes Mahaprasad, everyone is equal. Because you're coming before God. And God doesn't care if you're a sannyasi, or if you're a young child, or if you're a housewife, or if you're a grihastha, or if you're a brahmachari, or a temple president, or a book distributor, whatever. He sees the heart of the devotees, not their external situation. And so the custom in Jagannath Puri, when the devotees take prasad, and this applies if you're the king of Puri, it applies if you're the Indra, the king of heaven, or if you're a street sweeper on the outside, when everyone takes prasad, they sit on the floor, and they don't sit on an asan, because everyone is equal. Similarly, in a Vaishnava Sangha, it's not that the speaker is better than the listeners, or it's not that the temple president is better than the other devotees, the senior devotees are the best. We have some certain etiquette that we do. From the time of Mahaprabhu, the senior devotees in a Vaishnava Sangha, we may give them garlands, and we may give them some special seat. But ultimately, everybody, it's not that one person is more special than another person. And we'd like to speak something about that in our next 4 sessions. How do we understand who's a Vaishnava, and how do we understand what is proper respect to the Vaishnavas? In a Vaishnava Sangha, the center of everything is Krishna. Let me give you another example I often give. Let's suppose that you've been asked to do the Mangal Artik ceremony for Radha Madhav in Mayapur on Gora Purnima Day. Wow. And you go there at 4:30 in the morning, and you come out behind the curtain ready to blow the conch shell, and you look and you see maybe there's, 8,000 or 9,000 devotees in the temple room there. It's packed with everyone. And you may think to yourself at that time, just see, everybody came to see me. Right? Now, if you think like that, you're a badmash. You're a rascal. You're a complete nonsense rascal. Right? They didn't come to see you. They came to see Radha Madhav. You're the pujari. And they're not coming to watch you, but you're doing a service because Sri Vigrahara Dana Nityanana Shringara Tan Mandira Marjananda Gurudev is doing. He's the worshipper of the deity. And Yuktasya Bhaktams, Chaniyunja Topi, Vande Goro Shri Charanada Vindam. He's engaging the devotees. He says, I can't be here, so you do this on my behalf. We're a proxy, standing there on behalf of Gurudev doing this. And our qualification is what? That we offer the articles that we're instructed to offer. We offer incense, we offer a ghee lamp, we offer some water, we offer a handkerchief, we offer a chamara. We offer these things which are authorized and we've been instructed to offer by our Gurudev. You know, some years ago I was in Vrindavan and there was some wealthy person from Delhi came to the Banka Bihari temple and he offered one of the pujaris a large sum of money. He said, if you dress Banka Bihari in a special way. Pujari was eager to get some money. What kind of dress is that? He said, you put some Levi's jeans on him. And no flute. He said, you give him a cell phone. And so the pujari, being eager to get some money, agreed with that. And he dressed him like that. That day in Vrindavan, all the shops closed. And they blocked all the roads, they burned tires, they had a massive strike throughout the city. Everybody was so furious. How dare you do this with Banka Bihari? It's a great offense. You're a pujari. You're an exalted person. You have the service. But your position is that you're doing what you've been instructed to do. You're a proxy of your Gurudev. And we're giving respect in that way. Dikshashti chet pranati bishcha bhajantamisham. Rupa Goswami says in Upadeshamrita, someone who has second initiation is worshipping the deity, we offer obeisances to that person because he's a proxy, because he's doing this on behalf of Gurudev. So that's also the same system in our Krishna Katha. The speaker of Krishna Katha is like a pujari. And he just offers the incense and the ghee lamp and the other things that he's been instructed to by his Gurudev. And he doesn't speculate on his own. And they keep Krishna in the center. And this is a Vaishnava Sanga. So we sang a song by the poet Devaki Nandan Das, which I thought was appropriate for this verse today. Krishna says in this verse, Dambo darpo bimanascha krota parusham eva cha agyanam chabidatasya partha sampadamasurim. He speaks about the nature of a demoniac person. And the first quality of a demoniac person is damba. He's a very proud person. He doesn't understand his particular nature. And Srila Prabhupada, he says very, very profound thing in the purport. He says, they desire to be worshipped by others, and they demand respectability, although they do not command respect. This is the nature of demoniac persons. They're very eager to contemplate their career. It's like, I'll tell you something very frankly. Once one senior devotee came to me and said, Madhavananda, you have to think about your career in ISKCON. I have to admit, when they said that to me, I was having a good day up until that point. I wasn't very inspired by that comment because I didn't come here to have a career. It's not the career choice you'd want to make if you want to make a lot of money or have a lot of prestige or something like that. I came here for other reasons. My Guru Maharaj used to say sometimes that when you came here, you were very nice because you wanted Krishna. But then after some time, you forgot why you came. And now you just want to be in charge. I want to be the head pot washer. And then after some time, maybe I'll be in charge be the temple commander. I'll become the Sankirtan leader, the vice president, the president. Maybe I'll become a regional secretary. Maybe I'll become a GBC, maybe a sannyasi, maybe a guru. And this is my career in the society. And in this way, people want to demand respect according to their position, their external position. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he calls such persons bahirmukh janas, external persons. But the devotees are antarmukh janas. They're internal persons, and they don't demand respect. They never request people to respect them or demand that you should give me something special. Rather, by their qualities, they command respect. So this pride is a very demoniac quality. Dambo dharpo. Dharpo means arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness, and ignorance. These qualities belong to demoniac nature, and these are very, very dangerous qualities. We want to establish a Vaishnava Sangha because everyone wants community. Everyone wants to come together. I'd like to ask all of you a really frank question. 2 frank questions. We spoke about this the other day, Bhima. And just raise your hand, yes or no. I'm just curious. How many of you, before you came to the Hare Krishna movement, really liked organized religion? Raise your hand. One person. Okay, he's an honest person. Okay. So out of the whole group, 1 person liked organized religion before you joined. Okay, that's all right. It's not yes or no. It's not a right or wrong answer. We're just curious. Next question. I'd like to know, how many of you came to this path because, damn, you just really liked the management in ISKCON and the buildings and things like that? Really, raise your hand. How many of you came here because of that? Well, this is an interesting social thing. We should look around and think about this. If we're going out in the street and we're preaching to people, and we find ourselves saying, we have a really great building. And our management's really, really good, and we have a great society. If you find yourself saying things like that in a subtle or a gross way, you're probably saying the wrong thing. Because these are the people here in this room are the kind of people that we'd like to meet, the kind of people that we'd like to bring here. And none of you, one of you, honest person, appreciated organized religion before you came. Practically nobody likes organized religion. But everybody likes community. And many, many people like something spiritual also. But we'd like to have something that's intimate. This is community. As we often speak about in Jagannath Puri, there's a nice song written by one devotee named Yadudas. Chodike Mahanta Gana. He says that at the Rath Yatra festival in Puri, Chodike Mahanta Gana, there were mahants coming from all 4 different directions. And he says that Sata Sampradaya Gaya Gita. In that kirtan of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at the Rath Yatra, there were Sata Sampradaya, hundreds and hundreds of Sampradayas. Who are those Sampradayas? If you read, Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila chapter 13, the story about Rath Yatra, do a search in the folder, you'll find the word Sampradaya is used, I don't remember, something like about 20 times in the verses in that chapter. And how is it used? It's used to describe different associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That may sound a little confusing, isn't it? Because we're all part of the same Sampradaya, right? But it's speaking about Advaita Charya as one Sampradaya, and Chandrasekhara is another Sampradaya, and Ishvara Puri is another Sampradaya, and Srivas Thakur, and this one and that one, so many different devotees. How is it that we're the Chaitanya Sampradaya, Jiva Goswami says? We're the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. What does it mean, different Sampradayas? The word is used again and again to denote different groups. Because this is how Krishna consciousness really develops in small groups. And we have our temples, it's very good. We may have big programs sometimes for Janmashtami. You may rent a football stadium and have 100,000 people come for some festival, and that's nice. Everybody gets to chant. Everybody gets to take prasadam. But Rupa Goswami, he says, Dadati pratigrinati, guyamakyati prichati, bhungte bojayate chevet sadvidam pratilakshanam. That there's 6 exchanges which help us to develop love of God. And these 6 exchanges are very, very important amongst the devotees. The dati pratigrinati, giving and exchanging gifts. It's a little hard. As we were making a joke last night, we wanted to give some gift, so we were thinking of buying a Lamborghini car, or Ferrari or something for everybody. A little bit hard. As a gift for everybody here. What kind of gifts can you do? But in small groups, 3, 4, 5, 6 devotees, we can do that. And we can also express our hearts in a very open kind of way. So, Sata Sampradaya Gaya Gita. There's so many different devotees coming in that kirtan of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the author of the song, he describes, Esa bada sangi kori maji nachi goda hari, bakata mandala chari pas. Pas means to bind up. And chari pas, in all four directions, they're binding up Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with what? Not with ropes, bakata mandala. He's surrounded by all these different groups of devotees. And maji nachi goda hari. Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu is dancing amongst all those devotees. We may not be able to come together in terms of philosophy. That's a little bit hard. But in kirtan, we can have so many different people. We can have members of different groups. We can have Muslims come. We can have Christians come. Kirtan is such a wonderful thing, chanting the names of the Lord. Philosophy can be a little difficult. That requires some more qualification and some faith in the speaker, some faith in your Sangha. So we have small Sanghas for philosophy and for exchanges of love amongst the devotees. Adati pratigrinati, guyamakyati prichati. We should give gifts, exchange gifts. We should also speak something confidential. For some people, if you meet someone who's a cattle rancher from Texas, speaking about vegetarianism to that person may be something very confidential, because he wouldn't like his family to know that he's talking about vegetarianism. It's a secret, and it's just between you and him. Right? That's the nature. Just like two young girls. A young girl meets another girl in school, and she says, "What's your name?" The other one says, "My name's Sally." "Well, my name's Betty. Will you be my best friend?" "Okay. I'll tell you a secret. Did you know that girl likes such and such boy? Don't tell anyone." Right? And you shared some confidential thing between you. And to keep that thing secret, that's the basis of your relationship. So what's guyam, what's confidential, is going to be different in different groups. With our cattle rancher friend from Texas, it may be vegetarianism. Is anybody here tonight not a vegetarian? It's okay. Prabhuji, you vegetarian? No fish? Eggs once in a while? No? Okay. All right, that's right. That's good. Okay. So we won't speak to you then about vegetarianism, because probably that's not a very confidential thing, is it? And when we speak to someone about something confidential, that denotes respect. And that respect is a fundamental aspect of our relationship. If I speak to all of you why you should be vegetarian, you may feel like I'm treating you like a child or something. I'm treating you in a disrespectful kind of way. Look, we did that a long time ago. I've been vegetarian my whole life, or I've been vegetarian since I was a young boy. Why is he speaking to me about this? There has to be some respect given. So this is the nature of a Vaishnava Sangha, and that respect is given on the basis of Krishna consciousness, under the degree that we see Krishna in the heart of the devotees. And we don't care if they're, what color their skin is, what nationality they are, if they're transsexual, if they're bisexual, if they're tall, if they're short, if they're male, if they're female, if they're young, if they're old. But if someone has Krishna, and someone is Krishna conscious, we respect that as such a wonderful thing. So we sang a song tonight called Vaishnava Saran, which we printed in the 5th issue of our Krishna Katamrita magazine. We called the Mad Elephant Offense. And this song is considered to be both a preventative and an antidote for Vaishnava aparad. It was written by the poet Devakinandan Das, who previously had committed some offense to Srivas Thakur. And because of that offense, he got leprosy. He was suffering very badly. And he approached Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and begged him, "Please help me." And Mahaprabhu told him, "I can't do anything because you've offended my devotee. You have to get his forgiveness." And so then he went to Srivas Thakur, and Srivas Thakur said, "Come on, who am I? No problem." But still, Mahaprabhu wasn't completely satisfied with that. But later, when he got the mercy of Vikeshwar Pandit was a great devotee who was dancing in kirtan. Sometimes he would dance for 72 hours without stopping. great ecstasy. And many, many people would come to see him. And once he fell unconscious in ecstasy in the kirtan. And Devaki Nandan Das picked him up and protected him. And Vikeshwar Pandit gave him his blessings, then his ashirbad. And then later he took initiation by the blessing of Vikeshwar Pandit from the devotee known as Purushottam Das, who was one of the intimate associates of Lord Nityananda. And he expressed to his Guru Maharaj what he had done to Srivas Thakur. And his Gurudev Purushottam Das told him, you should write a book glorifying the Vaishnavas. And so he wrote a very wonderful book, and this Vaishnav Saran, this is part of it. And this song was very appreciated by my Guru Maharaj. We have a large library in our ashram in Jagannath Puri. Maybe we have a few hundred Bengali songbooks. And this particular song is found in so many, all the different Gaudiya Math songbooks and Babaji's and many different ISKCON songbooks also. It's in our official Bengali ISKCON songbook printed in Mayapur. And this song is sung by many Vaishnavas on a daily basis. And it has a wonderful purport. I'm not going to go so deeply into the purport because it would take us a long, long time, a few days. It's a very, very deep song, but we can just cover a little bit of it. And please keep this thing and sing this on a regular basis. He begins by singing that Vrindavana Basi Jata Vaishnaveragan Pratame Vandana Kori Sabarachun. By using the word Pratam, first of all, I'm offering obeisances to the devotees in Vrindavan. He's indicating that there's some sequence in this song. First, the devotees in Vrindavan. And why? Because Pratame Vandana Kori Sabaracharan, I offer obeisances to all of them because all the Vaishnavas in Vrindavan, they're considered to be devotees. All the residents of Vrindavan. Even the insects, even the dogs, the monkeys, all the residents of Vrindavan we consider to be devotees. And then, next of all, he offers respects to the devotees in Jagannath Puri. Nila Chalabasi Jata Mahaprabhu Gan. And there he says that not to everyone, but in particular to Mahaprabhu Gan, the associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I offer my obeisances to. In Jagannath Puri, Bhumi Te Padiya Vandon Sabara Charan, I fall down on the ground and offer my respects to them. And the next he says, Nabadvipa Basi Jata. I offer my respects to the residents of Nabadvip, who are the ones who are Mahaprabhu Bhakta, devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They're a little less intimate, he's indicating. There's a little slight difference between the Gana, the associates, and the Bhaktas, the devotees. So he's offering respects to the associates of Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri and the devotees of Mahaprabhu in Navadvip. Sabara Charana Vandon Hoi Anurakta, and he prays that let me have some Anurakta, some loving attachment to those devotees. And next he offers respects to the devotees in Godadesh, Mahaprabhu Bhakta Jata Godadeshi Stiti, who are residing there in Godadesh. Sabara Charana Vandam Koriya Pranati, I offer my pranams to their lotus feet. And then he says, Jai Desi, Baisi Gaurangiragan. I offer my respects to the devotees in Boston. I offer my respects to the devotees in Russia, to the devotees in China, in Japan, in Korea, in India, and all over the world. Jai Desi, Baisi. Wherever they happen to appear. And he says very emphatically, Urdhva Bahu. Urdhva Bahu means with two arms in the air. And you do like that when there's some announcement. Suno Suno Jana. Everybody listen. You put your hands in the air. Urdhva Bahu Kori Vandon Sabara Charan. With my hands in the air, I'm saying this thing very emphatically, that we should respect all the devotees, regardless of where they've taken birth. And that also indicates then too, regardless of their gender, regardless of their nationality, regardless of their background. And he emphatically indicates that in the next line, where he says, Hoy chena hoy bena, Prabhu jata das sabara charana vandon dante korigas. With straw in my teeth, dante korigas. I say this thing. And what does it mean to have straw in your teeth? Two meanings are there. One is, even today in the small villages in Orissa and West Bengal, if someone does some very bad thing, maybe they accidentally kill a cow, or they hurt someone, then they may do some prayaschitta, some atonement for that. And sometimes they'll make a garland out of shoes. And they put it around their neck, and they put grass in their teeth, straw. And then they go door to door, and they knock on the door, and they just stand there, maybe with their cloth out like this. And the people, when they see the shoes around their neck and the straw, and they understand, oh, he's done something very bad. And many times they tell them, "Hup, chalo, get out." And they may abuse them. Or sometimes, if the person is kind, maybe they'll give them a little rice or some dal or sabji or something. And whatever they may collect in that way throughout the day, that's what they eat at the end of the day. And they do that for so many days or a month or 2 months or something. So this is one meaning of straw in the teeth. Another meaning is that when I have straw in my teeth, it means that I'm not making any excuses. Right? Your parents say, "Hey, what happened? Why did you fail the test? You got such bad grades." And you say, "Well, it wasn't my fault. I did my homework, but I was taking it to school, and a big dog came. And suddenly the big dog ran, and he grabbed my papers out of my hand, and he ate them. It was very shocking. I don't know what happened." Right? The kids are like that, isn't it? Anybody has children, they know it. It was her fault. And they point to his sister or something, She flushed him down the toilet, or they'll say this or that. There's always some excuse. But when you have straw in your teeth, it means no excuse. It means I'm accepting my punishment. Another third meaning of straw in my teeth is that I'm not speaking from the lips. I'm speaking from the heart. Because you can't do kirtan. You can't speak if you have grass, you have straw in your teeth. It means something coming from my heart. So what is coming from his heart? Hoy chena hoy bena prabhu jeta das. He says that I worship the lotus feet of all the servants of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the ones in the past and all the ones in the future. It has another meaning according to Bengali grammar. Hoy chena means all the devotees in the past. Hoy bena means all the devotees in the future. Another meaning of Hoy chena is all the persons who used to be devotees. At one time, he was a big Sankirtan devotee. And he was selling so many books, and he was doing so well, and he was chanting and this and that. He was helping the temple in so many ways. And then he had some problems. And he went away, and he stopped practicing. But I offer my pranams to him. Such a special person. He used to be a devotee. Hoy chena. And hoy bena means all those persons who will become devotees in the future. They're not devotees yet. But still I offer respects to them. They may not be a vegetarian. They may not be following any principles, but they're going to become a devotee. Now who is that? That's everyone. So, such a wonderful song. I'd like to continue our discussion of this song tomorrow and say something about the last verses because it's a very, very big subject. But tonight, I thought that if we want to say something about the subject of Vaishnava community, that it might be nice to speak something about one of my favorite subjects. And we'll do it in a brief way. Sometimes we do it for 5 days for 2-hour sessions. But we'd like to say something about Kaliya Damana Leela. Or Krishna's destruction of Kaliya, the black snake. And why we particularly want to speak about that? Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Chaitanya Sikshamrita, he describes different obstacles that are there on our road to Vrindavan. Vrindavan is our home. And we're going on this road, this pathway to Vrindavan. But on that road, there's many different obstacles. And these obstacles are represented by the different Naimitika Leelas, or different occasional pastimes. There's Nitya Leelas and there's Naimitika Leelas. The Nitya Leelas are the pastimes going on eternally. The Naimitika Leelas are the pastimes primarily describing the killing of the demons, the curbing of the demons. And the sixth of those different obstacles is Kaliya Damana. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he describes Kaliya Damana in the following words. He says, Abhiman Kalata, Para pakaryata, excuse me, I really butchered that. Para pakarita, para parakarita, and krurata, jive dvaya sunyata, and dvikarana. He uses these words to describe Kaliya Dhamana Leela, that abhiman, someone who has some pride, some conceit, dambodharpa abhimanascha, abhiman. This word is also used in this verse. Please excuse me. From the Gita that we're reading today. Kalata means wickedness. And para pakaraita means someone who endeavors to hurt other persons. Krurata means someone who's very cruel. Jive dvaya sunyata means that someone who has no sunyata, they're devoid of any jiva dvaya, any compassion for the living entities. Dvikarana, it means someone who's removing or making distant because of their jiva dvaya sunyata. And then in Krishna Samhita he describes Kriratma Kaliya Sarpak Salilam Chidravatmakam Samdusha Yamanam Papo Harina Lanchito Gata. That the Kaliya snake, the personification of cruelty, Kriratma, polluted the Jamuna waters, which are spiritual liquid. And thus the Lord tortured and he banished Kaliya. So many questions come in regard to this pastime. We'll like to try to speak something about some of them. Why is it that Krishna didn't kill Kaliya? He killed so many different demons, but this particular demon he didn't. And how is it that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying these particular things? And as we go further in our discussion, we'd also like to be contemplative, and we may raise some other questions as well. First of all, I thought quite a bit about this subject matter, and we researched it through many different Puranas and Gaudiya literatures and commentaries, as well as Sanskrit dictionaries. Kali iti kala iya. First of all, what is the meaning of the word Kaliya? Kaliya iti kala iya. And the word Kaliya is a combination, a compound word, kala and iya. Iya is a suffix to kala. And according to the Sanskrit dictionary, kala has a number of meanings, at least 5 meanings. Kala means black, something very black or dark blue in color. Kala is also a kind of black, poisonous snake. Kala also refers to criticism, abuse, censor, defamation. Kala also means night. And Kala, the darkness, and Kala also means iron. So then what does the suffix iya mean? We see this suffix in our word Gaudiya. Gaudiya is someone who's traditionally from Gaudadesh. Iya means who belongs to. So when we say Kaliya, Kaliya iti kala iya, it means someone who belongs to, who possesses all these qualities of Kala. A very, very nasty personality. So this is Kaliya Dhamana Leela. And Dhamana has 2 meanings in general. One meaning is to tame or subdue, to overpower. A second meaning is more internal, to be self-controlled, self-restrained, or passive. And this pastime takes place in Kaliya Hraddha. What is the meaning of Hraddha? Hraddha means a large or deep body of water, a lake or a pool. Hraddha also has the same bij dhatu or root meaning as the word hrida or heart. So this pastime takes place on the bank of the Jamuna, and in many different pastimes it's mentioned. When this pastime begins, again and again, it's mentioned there with the same words, Vina Ramena, without Balaram. One morning, Krishna got up and he decided that he would go and herd the cows. But Vina Ramena, that day, Balaram wasn't there. Now, previously, Mother Yashoda had taken Krishna aside and said, Krishna, I know you're very mischievous, and you like to go here and there. You're very difficult to control. So you can go anywhere you want in Braj, except one place, Kaliya Hrada. You don't go to Kaliya's place, because she's a mother. She's very, very worried what will happen to Krishna if he goes there. And Krishna says, yes, Mom, okay. And then he goes to Dauji. Dauji is his big brother, Balaram. And he says, Balaram, Mata's telling me like this, but it's very difficult because the cows, sometimes they're going here. And Balaram looks at him and he says, okay, I understand. Just don't go in the water. You can go there, but just don't go in the water. Krishna said, I would never do that. So that morning, Vina Ramena, without Balaram, Krishna set out. And that morning, it was a very hot day, and the cows were very, very thirsty, and they started going toward the Jamuna River, and they came to a place with much green grass, a place where they'd never been before. Now, in the Harivamsa Purana, it's described, Tadasya sarpa rajasya kartavyo nigraho moya yateyam saridhambo da bhavech chiva jalasaya. This verse describes the mentality of Krishna. And Krishna was thinking, I must destroy this king of the serpents, Kaliya. He's sarpa rajasya. He's the Raj, the king of all the sarps, all the different snakes. This is an interesting point, which we may come to again at the end of our discussion. How is Kaliya the king of all the snakes? He says, somehow or other I have to do this thing, and very significant words in this verse is Chiva Jalasaya, because I have to protect the Jamuna, which is the life of Braj. Water is our life, and the Jamuna is the life of Vrindavan. We want to have Vrindavan communities. This is our purpose. Our purpose is not just to become real estate sellers and have big buildings or to become big booksellers. But our purpose is to establish Vrindavan communities. Communities of love, where Krishna is kept in the center. And so in the village of Vrindavan, the Jamuna River is the life of Braj. But Kavi Kanapur, in Ananda Vrindavan Champu, he says that Yamunaya Hridroga, that the Jamuna had a heart disease. And what was that heart disease? Kaliya. Kaliya was a personification of the heart disease in the Jamuna. He was Sarvada Bhoya Prada. He was the giver of fear to everyone. So you may remember the pastime that Krishna that day was a little behind everybody. He was at the end. And the cows went ahead. And it was a very hot day. The cows were thirsty. So they went to the bank of the Jamuna and they drank. And this was the place of the terrible demon, Kaliya. It's said in the Harivamsa Purana that for 8 miles on both sides of the Jamuna River around Kaliya Hrada, everything was dead. And that even the birds that would fly over, they would fall down dead from the very toxic fumes of poison, something like the Jamuna today, unfortunately. The very toxic fumes. I heard about some person who was in the newspaper, some Deshi person, some local Indian person who went to the Jamuna, and he took a little achaman, a few drops of water, something, and maybe it was a bad day, that particular day, and he drank that. And some of his family also, and 2 of them died. And a couple of the others were hospitalized because today the Jamuna has been contaminated again by the poison of Kaliya, very unfortunately. So the cows went there and they drank, and the cows fell over dead. And then the boys were playing and dancing and singing, and they were coming along, and then all of a sudden, oh my God, they saw this very horrible scene, that the cows were lying there dead. And the boys at that time, what did they do? They went and they drank water. Why? Jiva Goswami comments on that. Not because they're thirsty. Such a horrific scene to see the cows are laying there dead. Krishna's Go Brahmana Hitayacha. Krishna loves the cows so much. And those particular cows are very, very dear to him. Every day Krishna has a special flute and he calls out the name of all those different cows on the flute. And he knows there's 108 different groups of cows. And each different group has a group leader. And Krishna calls out the name of that particular cow on his flute, and he calls for all the cows. The boys were so horrified, they drank water because they wanted to commit suicide. They wanted to die. Because they felt like we failed. We failed in our service to Krishna. Krishna's going to be so very, very unhappy now when he comes and sees us. How can we face him? I can't do it. And the boys drank the water, and the boys died. And then Krishna was coming. And he was also dancing and singing, having a very happy time. And suddenly he comes and sees Ratak and Patrak, servants, and Stoka Krishna, and Sridham, and Subal, and Madhu Mangal, and all of his different, most intimate friends laying there dead on the ground next to the different cows. And Krishna became stunned. And Jiva Goswami in Gopal Champu, he says that Krishna was thinking to himself, what am I going to do? Now I'm really in big trouble. How am I going to go back to Vrindavan? What am I going to say to the mothers of these boys? Now our acharyas have described elaborately in many different commentaries that actually the boys weren't dead. They're eternal associates of the Lord. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in Sartha Darshan, he says that Yoga Maya just covered the boys. Mm-hmm. And so it seemed like they were dead, but they actually weren't. And Sanatana Goswami, he says that they lost their consciousness by the will of Krishna as part of Krishna's arrangement to drive Kaliya out from Braj. So Krishna was standing there. And what is he going to do? Because sadhavo hridayam mayam, sadhanam hridayam tvaham, mananyate na janati naham tebhyo managapi. Krishna's in the heart of his devotees. The devotees are in the hearts of Krishna. Krishna doesn't know anything except for the devotees. And the devotees don't know anything other than Krishna. So, Jiva Goswami in Gopal Champu, he says at that time, Krishna began to cry. He says a very interesting thing, that Krishna's personified love for the devotees, his heart melted. Huh? And that personified love for the boys came from his heart, through his eyes, in the form of tears. And those tears, in the form of Krishna's personified love, fell down on those cows and boys, and it brought them back to life again. And Jiva Goswami says a wonderful thing, that they didn't all come back to life at the same time. That wouldn't have been appropriate. But one at a time. Because as soon as one of them was brought back to life, then there was an amazing reunion. And that boy would embrace Krishna, and Krishna would embrace him, and they would both cry. And they would just look at each other. And then after a few minutes, Krishna would go to the next one. And then the cows. And then the cows, when the cows were all revived, they went and they began licking the body of Krishna. So at that time, Krishna became really, really angry. He didn't show it externally because he didn't want to disturb the boys. But this was too much. He was very furious with Kaliya. What have you done? You've done many things. You've killed many Brijbasi birds and trees and things. But now, you're messing with my friends, with my cows. And so Krishna told the boys, he said, my friends, he said, Kaliya lives in this lake. He said, I want to climb up in this tree and just have a look at things. Just wait down here just for a minute. I'll be right back. And Krishna took his cloth and tied it around his waist the way a wrestler does. And he climbed up in the tree and he tied his hair back. And then Krishna got to the top of the tree and he turned to the boys and he said, I think you should stay a little bit back. said, don't worry, I'm just coming back. And then Krishna raised his hand, Jiva Goswami says, in a fist of victory. And then, like a kingfisher bird, he dove into the waters of the Jamuna. And the boys were horrified. At that time, there was a great wave of water because Krishna, all the universes are in his body, and when Krishna hit the water of the Jamuna, a great wave of poisonous water came rushing in, and all the boys and cows went running back. And then the boys, when they saw that Krishna had entered into that very poisonous water, the Jamuna, they cried out in sorrow, and they began stumbling and running there to the water. And again, Jiva Goswami says, again, they were going to commit suicide. They committed suicide already once that day because they felt that we let Krishna down with the cows. They thought, we're going to do it now for real. Because how can we live without Krishna? But why didn't they? What stopped them? Krishna didn't stop them. Krishna was in the waters of the Jamuna. They stopped because they thought, oh, but if we do this, they saw the cows were following them. And the boys realized that if we jump into the waters of the Jamuna to commit suicide, then all the cows are also going to. And the cows are our service. We can't fail in our service again. At that time, it said that Krishna began sporting in the waters of the Jamuna like a great elephant. And Kaliya became very, very disturbed. And Kaliya, he came there to see who's disturbing the situation here in the waters of the Jamuna. Jiva Goswami, in his commentary, his Laghu Vaishnava Toshani, he uses a very interesting word for Kaliya. He calls him Chakshushrava. Chakshushrava. And Chakshushrava, I searched for this word in the dictionary. Chakshu means eyes, or through the eyes. Shrava means to hear. And so it means someone who hears through the eyes. That's a snake, because snakes don't have ears. So someone who's Chakshushrava is like Kaliya. Such a personality is Aroha Panta. He's trying to understand things in an ascending way. He doesn't hear. He doesn't accept any authority because he's envious like a snake. And just as we say in Missouri, it's the show me state. Isn't that right? And seeing is believing. They don't learn by hearing, but they trust their sense of sight. So such a personality is very envious like a snake, like Kaliya. And he came to see who had jumped into the water. And when he saw Krishna, my gosh, it's a very, very beautiful personality. And the Bhagavatam and Brahma-Vivarta Purana, different Puranas describe that Kaliya became very, very angry. The Brahma-Vivarta Purana says that Kaliya swallowed Krishna immediately. And then Krishna became like a burning rod of hot iron. And Kaliya's throat and belly started burning, and he vomited out Krishna. And at that time, his teeth were broken, and blood started oozing from his mouth. And the Vishnu and Harivamsa Puranas say that at that time, Kaliya's family all began to attack Krishna. Thousands and millions of snakes, they all began to bite Krishna. And Kaliya was thinking to himself, who is this personality? And Kaliya was wondering, how? I've heard about this boy. He killed my friend Aghasura very effortlessly. But because of his envious nature, because he's Chakshushrava, he's not hearing properly. He just trusts his senses, his sense of sight. Then he couldn't appreciate, he couldn't see Krishna. And so then at that time, it said that Krishna was adrishta chestam. He wasn't exhibiting any movement. And Kaliya wrapped himself around Krishna. And it said that Kaliya bit Krishna on the chest. Now, there's many different commentaries on this pastime. Sanatana Goswami, in Brihad Vaishnava Toshani, he says something which none of the other commentators say. And I heard one senior learned Vaisnava even puzzling over it. He said, how could Sanatana Goswami say this is so different than what all the other acharyas say? What does Sanatana Goswami say? He says that when Kaliya wrapped his coils around Krishna, actually, he was embracing him with love. Hello, that's a little unusual, isn't it? And then when Kaliya bit him on the chest, he was actually kissing him. Jiva Goswami doesn't say it like that, nor does Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, nor does Sridhar Swami Bhavarta Deepika, or other commentaries. Very curious kind of thing. At that time, all the residents of the forest came there, and they all became stunned, and just standing there in great distress, watching Krishna. And all the cows, they were just standing there. They fixed their eyes on Krishna, and they wanted to cry, but they were too shocked to shed tears. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, because their eyes had dried up out of fear. And therefore the Bhagavatam describes them as Rudamti Eva, as if they were crying. They were crying, but they weren't actually crying. They couldn't cry because their eyes had all dried up out of fear. At that time, there were different inauspicious omens. 3 different omens, Sridhar Swami Bhavarta Deepika says, appears. There were inauspicious omens on the earth. There were earthquakes at that time, tremors. In the sky, there were meteors falling. That's a second type of inauspicious omen. And the third type of inauspicious omen happened in all the bodies of the creatures. And the men, their left eye and left body parts began twitching. And women, because men and women are backwards from each other. On the ladies, their right eye and right side began twitching. And meanwhile, Sanatana Goswami says that all the trees and plants, they were also in agony, seeing that Krishna's predicament, and they all dried up. Everything seemed inauspicious. And meanwhile, back in Vrindavan, the Brijbasis were seeing all these inauspicious omens, and they became very, very afraid. Sanatana Goswami in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, he says that at that time, Nanda and Yashoda and the inhabitants of Braj were about to die from anxiety. And understanding their pain and suffering, their concern, Krishna sent an email or something. I don't know exactly how it worked, but he telepathically communicated with some old cowherd boy, old cowherd man there. And he, through the heart, inspired him, you go and tell them what had happened. And Sanatana Goswami explains in his commentary to his own verses that why Krishna did it with an old man, that they may not have believed the boys, young boys, right? But an old man, people believe an old man. So he ran there and he told them that Krishna was in the coils of Kaliya. And when they heard that, it was like getting a thunderbolt on their head. So the Brijbasis, they were thinking that they had died. In the book by Gunaraj Khan, very dear book to Krishna, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, called Sri Krishna Vijay, it says something very terrible. That the boys went rushing back to Mother Yashoda and Rohini, and they were crying. And they were in shock. And Mother Yashoda, looking at them, she feared the worst. She didn't see Krishna there. And she grabbed those boys. Where's Krishna? Where's Krishna? And the boys couldn't say anything. They were just crying. And finally the boys, they said, Mom, Krishna's dead. And they began to explain to Mother Yashoda. They began to explain to Mother Yashoda that this morning we went to the bank of the Jamuna with the calves, and we drank the water, we died, and Krishna brought us back to life. And after that, Krishna jumped in the Jamuna water, and this great black snake coiled around him, and it bit him on the chest. And we didn't see Krishna after that. But all we saw was that there was so much blood in the waters of the Jamuna. And we think now that Krishna's gone. And Mother Yashoda, she fainted. So our acharyas, Jiva Goswami and Gopal Champu, he says at that time, Balaram, everyone was lamenting, everyone was going mad, but Balaram looked happy. How can he look happy when such a thing is going on? Balaram was thinking when he saw the anguish of the Brijbasis that they're all ready to die out of concern for Krishna. And if I oppose them, they're not going to listen to them. And I'm also suffering because I'm seeing their pain, and their pain is my pain. I understand, though, that Krishna's got to be okay. Just he said, this insignificant worm, Kaliya, who is he? Balaram actually was thinking to himself that, how is it that Krishna, he likes to play with my form as Ananta Sesh. And now he's playing with this insignificant worm, Kaliya, in the water. Why is he doing like that? So Balaram thought the best thing to mitigate the pain of the Brijbasis is to smile and to look relaxed. And then the Brijbasis, they had a little bit of life seeing that. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that Balaram actually was laughing because he thought this way, that usually Krishna plays with me as Seshanaga, now he's playing with this little Kaliya. At that time, the Brijbasis, in madness, they went running out in search of Krishna. And all of them went, except for Balaram. And Balaram stayed back to speak to Rohini. Why did Balaram stay back? Why was it that Vina Ramena, that Balaram didn't go out that day? And why is it in particular did he speak to Rohini? Our acharyas say he spoke to Rohini to tell her, look, Krishna's coming back soon. Somebody's got to cook lunch. Yashoda's running down there to the Jamuna, so you got to do it. It's your duty. But why did he pick Rohini? Why didn't he speak to Yashoda? Or any of the other elderly ladies of Braj? Why Rohini? I was wondering this when I read this pastime. So the Brijbasis began following the footprints of Krishna. Krishna's footprints are decorated all over the soil of Braj. And the cows and calves and residents of Vrindavan, everyone loves his footprints so much, they won't step on them. They preserve them. So the Brijbasis were able to follow Krishna, his footprints, to the bank of the Jamuna. And when they arrived there at Kaliyadaha, Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda, they wanted to, when they saw Krishna and the coils of Kali in the distance, they also wanted to jump into the water and commit suicide. At that time, the Brijbasis, they inquired from the boys they saw standing there, what happened? Tell us what happened. Did Kaliya grab Krishna and drag him in the water? Or did Krishna voluntarily go in the water? What happened? And then they realized that the boys were unconscious. And they couldn't speak anything to them. And when they saw that, the Nanda and Yashoda entered into a state of panic and shock. And they were also about to enter into the waters of the Jamuna. And at that time, Balaram came there. And Balaram, it's said, in 3 different ways, he stopped the Brijbasis. With Nanda and Yashoda, he had to grab them. Don't go in. And others, with his words, he stopped them. Don't do it. Don't go in. Krishna's going to be okay. And in a 3rd way, by his glance, he looked at some of them and he stopped them. And at that time, Sanatana Goswami in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, he describes Balaram's words to Krishna. Iti navaikunta nibasi parshadana vanarastena chayadava api goloka loka bhavad eka jivana nashanja sakya bhagavan mayavitum. Balaram said, hey Krishna, stop this. Stop this now. He said, these persons, these aren't the Vaikuntha Basis, your associates in Vaikuntha. These aren't the Vanaras, the monkeys in the forest who are devotees of Lord Ramachandra. Te nacha Yadava P. These are not the members of the Yadu dynasty living in Dwarka with you. Goloka Loka Bhavadeka Jivana. These are the Goloka Basis, the Vrindavan Basis. And Eka Jivana, you're the only life of those devotees. Nasyamcha Sakya Bhagavan Mayaidvam. And they're going to die if you don't stop this now, if you don't get out of the water. Pranaya viyukta na bhavanti havatavad vinodham karuna tvajaitam. Krishnanyata goshta janaika bandho gantasi shokam midula swabhava. He says, he addresses him as midula swabhava Krishna. Oh, gentle-natured Krishna. He said, give up this game before your devotees die. Otherwise, Krishna, you're the sole friend of the Brijbasi cowherd people. Your gentle heart is going to come to grief. You're going to suffer. Give this thing up now. And so it was at that time, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he says that Krishna turned to Kaliya. And he said, so you showed me your strength. Now let me show you a little of my strength. And then Krishna began to expand his arms. And Kaliya, try as he might to keep Krishna within his coils, he was unable to. And then suddenly, Krishna, he put one foot on the head of Kaliya, and he came out of the water. But before that, it said that Kridan Amum Parisara Yata Kagendro. That Krishna went moving around in the opposite direction of Kaliya. And the Bhagavatam says, Evam Paribrahma Hatojasam. Hata Ojasam. That the Ojas, the strength of Kaliya, was destroyed by Krishna going in the opposite direction. What does that mean? Beam. You've had some fights, you've done some boxing, some wrestling and things. So if you go in the opposite direction with somebody, is that going to make them weak?
Yes, because then they're not leading with their strength, you're going towards their weakness.
You're going toward their weakness. Okay, that's one answer. But I thought to myself, just by going in the opposite direction, someone's going to become weak. But it has a purport also. Because Kaliya iti Kalaiya. He's that personality, Kalaiya, who has these qualities of Kala. Criticism and harshness, censorship. And Krishna goes in the opposite direction. In other words, he doesn't get into an argument with Kaliya. He does the opposite thing. And when we do that with angry, nasty people, when we just offer some respect to them, as one elderly sadhu once told me in Orissa, there's a secret in Nam Bhajan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was given a secret. He said, Amanina manadena. It's Fakir Mohan Prabhu. Amanina manadena. Kirtaniya sadahari. That give respect to everyone else. Don't demand respect. And he said, if you do that, they'll leave you alone. And then you can do your bhajan. It's a very nice secret, huh? So Krishna went in the opposite direction. And we can understand one thing in this pastime also, that Balaram, he's Adi Guru. He's the original guru. Kaliya represents the poison of criticism, which is destroying the Jamuna. The Jamuna is the life of Braj. We want to make Vrindavan villages. We want to have Vaishnava communities. But if we have this poison of criticism in the community, then the life force of the community is going to become poison and everyone's going to die. Now what happens when you see criticism of Krishna or criticism of Gurudev? Naturally, devotees want to go and I'm going to thump that guy on the head, right? Similarly, the Brijbasis, they wanted to jump into the water. They wanted to rescue Krishna. But Balaram, who's Adi Guru, said, no, don't do it. Stay out of this water. If you go in this water, you're going to die. If you try to enter into this water of criticism and quarrel, you're just going to die. You can't digest this poison. And so Balaram holds them back. And when he holds the devotees back, when the devotees listen to Sri Gurudev, and they don't become angry, they don't try to take part in this criticism themselves, then Gurudev becomes pleased. And on behalf of the devotee, Gurudev petitions Krishna, stop this thing now. Manifest yourself before the devotees. They can't tolerate it anymore. When he sees the devotees crying, the devotees in nearly a dying condition, then Gurudev petitions on behalf of the devotees. And Krishna begins to go in the opposite direction of Kaliya. And so then at that time, Krishna pushed down Kaliya's hoods. Anamnyam tat prita shirasa dirudha. Kaliya had such raised hoods because it's the nature of pride. And Krishna pushes it down. And then Krishna jumped on top of his heads. And Akila Kala Adiguru Nanarta. That person who's Akila Kala Adiguru, the original guru of all the different arts, Nanarta, he began to dance. And all the demigods, they came and they saw that Krishna was dancing like this. And the demigods, seeing Krishna dancing, they picked up mridangas and kartals and they began to play. Diktan, diktan, digitan, diktan, diktan, digitan. And Krishna began to dance according to the beat that the demigods were keeping. And Krishna began to dance faster and faster and was spinning around and dancing on all the heads of Kaliya. And his dance accomplished several things simultaneously. One thing was, he kept smashing down on the heads of Kaliya when he would dance. If you ever see them doing Bharatanatyam dance or Odissi dance, boom, boom, they push their foot down very heavily. And it was pushing down the heads of Kaliya and crushing his pride. And Krishna began going faster and faster. And the pride of Kaliya was diminished, and also the pride of the demigods, because they were trying to play the mridangas and different drums and things. And Krishna was going so fast they couldn't keep up. And their pride was also diminished in this way. And then at that time, blood became streaming from the mouth of Kaliya, and his eyes popped out, and his hoods collapsed. And much of his poison came out. And then Kaliya came to his senses. And we know the Nagapatnis came there. The Nagapatnis, they began to pray to Krishna. And Sanatana Goswami says they offered gifts to Krishna. They had different scarves and different jewels and things. And Sanatana Goswami says that Krishna at that time, he took the uttariyas, those cloths from the Nagapatnis, and he tied them all up like into a rope, and he put that rope through the nose of Kaliya. And with his left hand, he began riding on Kaliya. And then with his right hand, he reached out and he grabbed for the gopis. Don't ask how he did it. Sanatana Goswami says Krishna can do amazing things. And he picked up the gopis and he brought the gopis on the heads of Kaliya. And then he began to do a Ras Leela dance with the gopis on the heads of Kaliya. Now you may ask an obvious question. What did Nanda and Yashoda think about that? They were so stunned, they were just stunned in terror, seeing his whole thing with Krishna, and they couldn't see what was going on because of that. And Krishna began to dance with the gopis on the heads of Kaliya, and then he began riding. Well, with his right hand, he was playing his vangsi, his flute, and with his left hand, he was riding Kaliya down the Jamuna River. So, the Bhagavatam describes that Krishna banished Kaliya. Now, it's a very interesting thing. Why he banished Kaliya? Why didn't he kill Kaliya? And moreover, it's also very interesting that the Bhagavatam repeatedly, and our acharyas repeatedly, describe that Kaliya was a recipient of great mercy of Krishna. And we know that Kaliya, he came to his senses and he began to accept the chastisement of Krishna. Some acharyas say that because the Nagapatnis, because he had some good wives. Just like we've seen sometimes, I've heard from many ladies in our movement, my husband, he's really bad. But I don't think any ladies in our movement have a husband as bad as Kaliya. Okay? You can correct me, but I don't think any ladies here have a husband that bad. Because those ladies were such great devotees, they prayed to Krishna, and our acharyas say they brought their children and put their children in front of them when they prayed to Krishna. Look, we have kids, and you're going to destroy our family, so you got to do something, show some mercy. And Krishna had some compassion on them. But many questions come. The first question we may have here at this point is if these wives were such devotees, then how did they get someone like Kaliya as a husband? Somebody did some pretty bad astrological charts or something, right? Don't go to that astrologer again. You get a husband like Kaliya, huh? That's the first question. Second question, what is the significance of Vina Ramena? Why didn't Balaram come? Third question, why wasn't Kaliya killed? Why was he just driven out? Fourth question, how was it that Kaliya got the good fortune to get Krishna's feet on his head? And not just Krishna's feet, the gopis also. That's a pretty amazing thing. He became the carrier of Krishna. He got more mercy than Garuda. A very ironic thing, because Garuda is the eternal enemy of Kaliya, of the snakes. And Garuda is the carrier of Vishnu, Narayan. And he sits on Garuda. He puts his feet on the wings of Garuda. But Krishna put his feet on the head of Kaliya and the gopis' feet. And Kaliya got much more mercy than Garuda got. That's another question. Another question is, how is it that Kaliya, if you know this pastime, I'm doing it in a very, very quick way. How is it that Kaliya had the good fortune to enter into Vrindavan and stay there for such a long time? It said he was there for millions of years. And how is it that previously he fought with Garuda and he lived through that fight? Garuda is not a small-time personality. How do we understand these things? So we explored this subject matter in different places, and we found some very interesting answers. In the Brahma-Vivarta Purana, when this pastime is described, Kaliya tells Krishna, Samprapya tvam manum brahman anantad yavadeva hi tavat tvad bhavanenaiva twadvargoham anugrahat. He said that I got the anugraha, or the mercy of who? Anantad, Lord Anantasesh. He gave me initiation. And he gave me Krishna mantra. Kaliya was actually a devotee. He was initiated by Anantasesh. And he was always meditating on Krishna. Now, who else is Anantasesh? Who's known as Anantasesh also? Balaram. So, in other words, Kaliya was actually a disciple of Balaram. Now, you may know from the Bhagavatam that Balaram is a very merciful personality. He has a number of unusual disciples, one of which was Duryodhana. And his name, one of his names is Duryodhana Guru. He's a spiritual master of Duryodhana. And during the battle of Kurukshetra, Balaram couldn't go there. He said, forget it, I'm not going to go to the battle, because he couldn't tolerate. He knew Duryodhana was going to be killed because Krishna was on the side of the Pandavas. And Balaram, he loved his disciples, so he couldn't tolerate that. In the same way, Balaram knew Kaliya is going to get chastised by Krishna. He can't tolerate to see that. And so this is how Kaliya was able to enter into Braj and take shelter of the Jamuna River, because he was a devotee. He was a little bit of a mixed devotee. He had some problems, but he was a devotee. He was initiated by Anantasesh. And this is also how he got such good wives. They saw he was something of a devotee. He had some problems. But what about his fight with Garuda? The Brahma-Vivarta Purana describes, Smitva haripadambojam kaliyo yuyuderane muhurtam chatayor yudham babuva taiva darunam. That Kaliya fought for 45 minutes with Garuda. It was a very, very terrible fight. But the reason why the reason why Kali was able to survive that fight was during the fight he was chanting Krishna's name in his mind, and that gave him the strength to fight against Garuda. But still, Garuda was more powerful. And Kali had told Krishna, Mam cha bhaktam apakvam va vigyaya garudasvayam desha duram chanyakaram chakara duda bhaktiman. Because I was a little immature in my bhakti. He's a little bit of an angry devotee. Sometimes we see devotees like that. Because of that, Garuda was able to insult me and force me to leave my home. And so he went there to the Jamuna River, and he stayed in the Jamuna River for so long. Now, according to the Garga Samhita, during the Swayambhuva Manvantara, there were two sages. One's name was Vedasira Muni, and he was a descendant of Bhrigu Muni. He did penance in the Vindhya mountains. And one day, there's another sage who showed up. It's kind of like when you were doing the pick or something, and you showed up in another person's zone or something like that in the old days, okay? So one day he had this place, he's doing his meditation in the Vindhya mountains, and another sage named Asvasira Muni came there to also do austerities. And when Vedasira Muni saw Asvasira Muni, he said, hey! What are you doing here? This is my place. Get out. And Asvasira Muni, he said, what do you think? This is not your place. This place belongs to Mahavishnu. Did you become God all of a sudden or something? What's your problem? You're angry like for no reason. You're hissing like a snake. So I curse you. You should become a snake. And then Vedasira Muni became very angry and he said, well, you become a crow. And then the two of them, oh, what did we do? We had this big fight, sometimes like the brahmacharis. Anyway, stuff happens. So then at that time, Lord Vishnu, he appeared there. And he consoled those two sages. And he told them, you're both devoted to me. You're like two arms of my body. He said, I can make my words false, but I can't allow the words of my devotees to become false. That's my vow. So Vedasira, you're going to become a snake. And you'll be known as Kaliya. But don't worry, I'll put my footprints on your head. And Asvasira, you don't worry. You'll become a crow, but you'll become Kakabushundi. And some of you may have heard of Kakabushundi. And he's mentioned in Tulsidas, Ramchrit Manas. He was speaking Ramayana. And you'll have transcendental knowledge. So another question comes before us. We've answered a lot of the questions. But how is it, why is it that Balaram kept Rohini back? The Garga Samhita describes that during the Chakshus Mantara, Prajapati Daksha, he had 11 beautiful daughters and he gave them all in marriage to Kashyapa Muni. Text 18 describes Tasam Kaduscha Ya Shrestha Sadyaiva Rohini Smita. Amongst them, Kadru was the best, and that Kadru later became Rohini. And Kadru, Tesham Vedasira Nama Kaliyo Bud Mahafani. Kadru gave birth to millions of snakes, and amongst them was Kaliya. So Rohini previously was Kadru, the mother of Kaliya. And how can a mother stand seeing her son abused? So understanding that, Balaram kept Rohini back. This was my understanding. Okay, this is all very nice, but I still wasn't satisfied. We gave a talk on this subject matter a few years ago at the Govardhan retreat in Braj. And I remember the last morning we'd answered all the questions. Somehow, by Krishna and Guru's mercy, we managed to find these different answers in different literatures. But there was one big question which was weighing on my heart. And I wasn't satisfied. I didn't have an answer to it. And I thought to myself, well, anyway, at least we should tell the devotees this question and let them think about it. Because that's the duty of a speaker. We should make the devotees think, right? So that morning I went out for a japa walk around Govardhan Hill. And suddenly the answer came to my mind. And so we explained it that morning to the devotees, and somehow they liked the answer. But I wasn't 100% satisfied because it was my inspiration that I'd gotten from Giriraj. So later I went to visit one great Vaishnava, whose name is Radha Govinda Maharaj, who's one of the greatest scholars of the Bhagavatam in our movement. I could tell you many stories about Radha Govinda Maharaj. From about the age of 5, he was studying Bhagavatam every day. Very great scholar of the Bhagavatam. So I went to him and I asked him this question that I had, and I was very delighted when he gave the exact answer that I gave to the devotee. He said, yes, I feel this confirms it. What was the question and what was the answer? The question is that, how is it that we say that Krishna gave mercy to Kaliya, but he drove him out of Vrindavan? Is that mercy? Everybody says Krishna gave so much mercy to Kaliya. I can't argue with our acharyas. They say that, but I'm not very satisfied with that. How is it mercy to be driven out of Vrindavan? And what was Maharaj's answer? The same thing that we said. He said, in the same way that Srila Prabhupada brought the devotees to Vrindavan. And they were there, and they were hearing from Prabhupada, the Nectar Devotion series, the Radha Damodar Temple, one of the most amazing series of lectures Prabhupada ever gave. You should definitely listen to that someday. And then what did Prabhupada do? He told them all, now go home. Leave Braj. Get out from here. Krishna sent Kaliya away. Now, I always forget, what is the name of the island Krishna called? Ramanaka Dweep. Thank you. Okay. So Krishna sent him back home. He went back to Ramanaka Dweep, which later Prabhupada said is Fiji. So what happens if you've been gone for a long, long time? If you go to India for 6 months and you don't see your friends or family here in Boston and you come back after 6 months, what happens? The devotees, when they see you, say, hey, what happened? Right? Where you been? What's been going on? Right? So 100% sure that's what's going to happen with Kaliya when he goes back to Ramanaka Dweep. They're all going to ask him, Kaliya, where have you been? What's been going on? And what is Kaliya going to tell him? Sit down. I've got a story to tell you. Right? 100% sure. There's a place called Vrindavan. And there's a boy there who's so beautiful. And he plays the flute. And he's going to tell them, he's going to speak Krishna Katha. Now, who goes to Ramanaka Dweep every day for lunch? It's like a fast food diner for him. Garuda. Because they made some arrangement. Right? He was terrorizing them. He was the original terrorist coming down from the air. And Garuda, they out of fear of him, they said, look, just we'll give you one snake every day for your lunch, but don't terrorize us anymore. Okay. So Garuda goes there every day. So the next day he's going to go there and he's going to see what's going on. There's a big assembly here. And what's he going to do? 100%, isn't it? He's going to land there. And there's some Krishna Katha going on. And he's also going to listen. So this is a very wonderful message indirectly given in this pastime of Kaliya Damana Leela. The message is that Kaliya, whose criticism personified, will poison the life of Braj and will destroy everything. So that poison has to be driven out of Braj. It has no place in Braj. And when Kaliya leaves, he becomes a devotee. And when he goes back, he begins speaking some Krishna Katha. Then even his great enemy, Garuda, is going to come and hear that. Which also shows that really the essence of Vrindavan is Krishna Katha. And this is a thing which will bring everyone together. Regardless if you're a Deshi or a Bideshi, you're Uttam or Adam, you're elevated or fallen, you're an Indian, you're non-Indian, you're a hippie, you're a high-class person, you're a woman, you're a child, whatever you may be, everyone can come together. Even if you voted for Hillary Clinton and someone else voted for Mr. Trump, you can still sit in the same room without killing each other. If we have Krishna Katha in the center of things. It's a solution for things. This is the answer. This is the essence. This is the art and the heart of Vaishnava Sangha. So we'll stop there. And it's very late. I didn't want to go this late. I'm very sorry. When we get going like this, I just don't look at the clock until we finish. So we'll stop there. And if you have any questions or comments about something, maybe you can ask me tomorrow. And we'll have another session in the morning, isn't it? From 8 to 9 o'clock? And then 10 to 1 o'clock, okay, on the same subject matter. So thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveda Bhakta Binda ki, Go Premanandi Hari Hari Bo, Vancha Kalpadarubhischa, Kripa Sindhu Bheva Cha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Brinda ki.